And everybody, welcome to the Friday, March 14th edition of the Arkansas Diamond Report. I'm Jason Pattison, got Dudley Dawson here. You
Short,
guys,
short show today. Not much to talk about.
no, not at all. No, I mean, we might have to try to fill some time, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Have to talk about TV shows. We talked about cereal last night, too. That was fun. Turned out that Luther Franklin is not a Fruit Loops type of guy.
Hey, there you go. That's interesting.
I told him, I said, we're going to have to blindfold you and then start spoon feeding you some of the stuff that you do not like to see if you can actually taste it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You got a good kick
They
out
have
of that
shows
one.
about that, I think. So.
They do. They do. Also, if you guys hear some thunder going on, I got the back door open. I want it's nice spring weather to flow in here, so you might hear some thunder and lightning and stuff. If that happens, we're just going to keep rolling.
Same here. Same here. I have the back door open. You might hear some Tatum, but we're hoping that he's outside just enjoying the yard. So Tatum,
Yep.
who, when we first got him, was 3 pounds, and now he's 12. He's a growing boy.
4 times the size now. Watch out now.
Thanks. He's strong too.
It's all the mentality part of it, because as he's getting bigger in his mind, he's getting to be that stronger dog that wants to try to dominate a little bit.
Yeah, he's trying to tell me I'm 61. You can't hold me down. Yeah, I can.
Oh man, I want to open up with a tribute to Oliver Miller, longtime Razorback, and one of those cornerstone players that not only the university reveres, but also fans, media alike as well. He was one of those guys that he was larger than life. When he stepped into a room, you knew exactly who he was. He just didn't kind of blend in. He stood out apart, not only in a room, but also on the court as well. And I think it was nice last night to hear the tributes that Luther had whenever he was on his time here at Arkansas. And I know that there's quite a lot of media that's still around that covered Big O whenever he was around. With him part of that first group that took Nolan's team to the Final Four, it really cemented a place in fans' memories of not only who he was, but what he stood for.
Yeah, I think some of the old timers, me, Mike Irwin, Grant Hall, are three that come to mind. Obviously,
Yeah.
Tough. Bob Holt I would have included in that. He's passed this year, and obviously Oliver's passed. I had the opportunity to cover him in every game that he played here, and kept up with him and talked with him a little bit as he continued his pro career, and then went on and went about. He became a social media star, although I don't know if he was trying to be. But very sad deal. Everybody knows I think I'm really good friends with Scott Hastings, Joe Klein, but I will tell you that Oliver Miller was the most gifted and all around big man that I believe Arkansas has had. When you throw in passing to it, now both Joe and Scott were good passers, but Oliver Miller had a Larry Bird type of mentality to passing, and had great peripheral vision. Got his teammates open. He was as integral as any player on that team. During his years here, and some would argue that when you win the national championship, that's got to be considered the best team in school history. And when you go back to it, it's got to be maybe the second best team in school history. But if we just were doing it on pure talent and just the camaraderie of the team and how they played, that 1990 team may be the best one I've ever seen. And, it covered game by game. And he, as I said, he was an integral part in that. There were a lot of other guys, obviously, around there that made it go as well. But I do not think you get to win the national championship. You do not go back the next year unless Oliver Miller, Todd Daly, Mayberry, Daryl Hawkins, some of those other guys that were honored not too long ago here, laid the groundwork and got it to where the other guys who were here when the actual championship was won, decided to come here, but in part because of the success that Arkansas was having there.
I know that a lot of folks say that 93 team really was the one who took, this program over the top with the national championship. But I really feel like those teams between 89, 92, those were the ones who laid the cement and started building the bricks. They're putting the bricks on Bud Walton Arena.
Yeah, another late player that was integral, and that was Ron Hury. When Coach Richardson convinced him to come here, that opened the door to Memphis and opened the door to some other places. And what a magical time it was back then. And you talk about from the first year when they were down, I think 20 points to Arkansas State in Barnhill Arena in an NIT game. And lots of stuff was circulating about, this thing might not continue the same way. That got it going, and it got to we're easily, I think, the most successful decade in terms of getting to the end of the tournament in March Madness. All that Arkansas obviously had some great runs to the Final Four, but that decade was hard to match.
It was. One of the things that really stuck in my memory, I mentioned this last night too, is Oliver Miller was the first person that I saw personally, TV or live, where he could palm a basketball and chuck it 90 feet accurately.
Yeah, he was the best quarterback on campus sometimes during those years. And that wasn't, there wasn't a ton of great quarterbacks during that time. There, I don't want to say very good ones, but not great ones. And yes, he certainly could. And it was human outlet pass, and he would go to the boards, and everybody else would take off and run in, and he did them. Where they were running a post or a hitch and go. I mean, it was fun to watch.
It was. Let's get to some topics at hand.
One other thing I'll say, I think a lot of people know that my first wife passed away from breast cancer. Cancer sucks. I hate you.
Yes.
Continue to, people continue to make strides, but we lose too many good people because of that. And this is another one.
Yep. Very well said on that one too. Your side of the campus has been pretty busy. You got a national coaching search. You've got probably Coach Deifel's biggest series in her tenure here at Arkansas. You got Arkansas on the road at Ole Miss this weekend, and we'll talk about that here in a few. Let's talk about this coaching search real quick. I know that both the university and Coach Neighbors, when we talked about it, decided to part ways. Where exactly is, to your knowledge at this point, where is that coaching search at?
Well, one of the leading candidates, and this is what I've heard, and obviously a lot of others have put in. Give me just a second here. It's starting to rain here. I've got to make sure that Tatum comes in. But I'll have some information on that in just a second.
Yep. And I think it's good. I think it's good to open that up. I want to see the university get the right hire, not the maybe the best fit, because you, to this point, 2 NCAA tournament appearances in 8 years. Saw what happened with the Dykes era before that. This has been a 10 to 12 year period where, I mean, you haven't had a lot of winning basketball on the women's side, and I feel like they really need to turn that around.
Yeah, let's go back to the genesis of why it got to here, and certainly there have been some good years along the way, but when Gary Blair wasn't given an extended contract, given the money that he deserved, the program started trending in the wrong direction. He's the reason that Texas A&M women have a national championship and Arkansas doesn't. I fully believe that it would have, led to that here. They got to the Final Four, I saw some stuff on the PBS thing last night about Satia Messer being, a great, obviously, factor in that. But yeah, it's a situation where they have to make the right hire. There have been a few. Some are friends. Some that just didn't work out. They've got to check all the boxes.
Yep. I see you've got the sound producer in fine form this morning.
Yeah, he doesn't. This is his first experience with being outside when it started raining. So we're about to have a discussion. His mom's out on an e-bike and just texted me. She's under a bridge right now. So that's probably a good thing.
Oh goodness. Well, at least he's being able to experience it for the first time, and as long as he does good, that's all that matters, man. Um, so exactly. I know that there's been a couple of names that have been floated out there so far. Can you kind of expand on a little bit on both of those candidates? Can't hear you, man.
I'm gonna pick him up so he'll calm down.
Oh,
Okay.
sure. Hey, yeah, bring him on. Let's. Yeah, I think it'd be good.
He's decided to be quiet instead of come on camera.
Camera
Yeah,
shot.
the paparazzi's been out there. Let's go with Molly Miller is one of the two what most people consider the leading candidates, along with Kelly Harper, who used to play at Tennessee and won national championships under Pat Summitt. Also was a coach at Tennessee. Had a great record, but didn't get as far as they wanted her to. Brought in a new coach, but Molly Miller's team has, I think it's 29 in a row wins now. It's Grand Canyon. She's a Springville, Missouri native. Coached and played at Drury. Went to Hillcrest High School. As we all know, Springfield is just as close to Fayetteville as it is to the Columbia, and so Arizona State's in the mix with her too. But there are, I've heard a lot of stuff about how she's the leading candidate. Also, a lot of national guys are reporting that and saying that she has the opportunity to, choose between Arkansas State, and Missouri. If she wanted that. Again, as I said, she fits a lot of boxes. She's 38. She's done great recruiting out there at Grand Canyon, which is easy to do with the weather, but it's not been a program over the years that. Other than Dan Marley has gotten a lot of credit. The baseball, has come on, the athletics done there. But I think that from what I'm understanding, whoever it's going to be, if one of these two coaches, Karen Alston, who used to be the coach at Texas and is Arkansas native, some others, are in the mix, it's going to be a little bit because their NCAA tournament starts next week. Grand Canyon is playing today. I think it's at 4:00 on ESPN Plus in the semifinals. And so they'll go to the NCAA tournament. I wouldn't expect an announcement anytime soon, as in the next few days. I expect, the NCAA tournament to play itself out a little bit before that happens. But I do think as soon as whatever candidate says yes, that we'll begin to know that, and it'll dribble out a little bit. But she checks all the boxes. Again, 38, very successful, nearby, has the recruiting contacts. And I think would be an excellent choice from what I'm hearing. Now, I've just started learning more about her. Obviously, Grand Canyon was not my focus going into this. But one of the things that whether it's any of those coaches I just mentioned or somebody else, it's not, I'm told, and we'll see, but I'm told that they're willing to now add more money to the NIL, to do some other stuff that would make them more competitive. And made no bones about it. Mike Neighbors was my friend before he became a coach. And so I hate this for him, but I also recognize that you can't have two NCAA tournament trips in 8 years. You can't be in a situation that they have here lately where so many people have left campus. But let's be honest about this. He's working with less resources than most of the people in his conference, and really most of the people in the United States. And that's just the way it's been. I'm not saying they were destitute, that they were passing out nickels or anything, but they were getting outbid by other schools, and that was the biggest reason that there was such an outflow of players here lately. And yes, it's probably Hunter Yurchek and many of the fans have decided it's time for a change. You better hit a home run here, and you better do. If I was the new coach coming in here, I would want a John Tyson-like benefactor to assure me that I was going to be able to compete. Because if not, I'll just go to Arizona State.
Yeah,
or stay at in Kelly Harper's case, just stay doing the SEC network until the right job comes along. And there's several jobs open, many, I think 3 or 4 in the SEC. So it's going to be fun and busy the next couple of weeks, I think, in the SEC in terms of who's going where in women's athletics. And now are they about to put the amount of money from 1 to 16 that they have been doing with the men, who I guess now they're going to get 14 teams. 14 teams into the NCAA tournament.
Crazy to think. It is crazy. And, if you're Molly Miller for a second, you're looking back at her
I
resume.
certainly would look in the mirror more at myself.
I will definitely agree with you on that. And she lost 17 games at Drury over an 8-year period. They're 30-2 right now at Grand Canyon.
She's 69, won 69 of her last 70 games at Drury.
God, and that right there, with her being as young as she is, you bring somebody. If you were able to bring somebody in like that, yeah. If I were her, I would tell Juracek, anybody that would listen, I will come here, but I need this much money.
Oh yeah.
Because I cannot be competitive, and I'm not going to wind up like Coach Neighbors. What happened with him? It just can't happen.
A lot of people can say Vic Schaefer, who obviously used to be an Arkansas assistant under Gary Blair, who then went to Mississippi State and obviously is at Texas now and has boatloads of NIL money and the opportunity to have a great program. And had several people say, why don't you throw a truckload of money at him? Well, Texas has so much money. They've got truckload after truckload after truckload, and you're not going to leave what is either the number 1, 2, or 3 program in the SEC to come to one that just finished in a tie for last place, albeit you got the 13th seed. And it would be, I love the guy. I'm sure he did a tremendous job, but he's going to continue to get a lot of money down there, and it's already set up down there. The challenge coming here to rebuild, especially after you weren't given the opportunity to be a coach here earlier times.
It seems to be the going right with some Arkansas players or some former players.
Yeah, and just as Bill Self, could have been the coach here during basketball several times. It's
Jimmy Johnson.
People hold grudges, and when you're in a situation that you are on the top of the mountain and you're on top of the mountain of money, then that's not going to happen.
Nope.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Let's go to softball. This is probably Coach Deifel's biggest series in her tenure here at Arkansas.
Certainly in the regular season, for sure. Yes,
yeah,
definitely. Texas here in the NCAA tournament was a big one too. Yeah, obviously, but yeah, I think you're right. In the regular season, definitely. The place is going to be packed. You're going to have the Gasso brothers, one who's an assistant in one dugout, the other an assistant in the other dugout.
Yeah.
Nipping at each other. I would be stunned if Bobby Bones, now that Arkansas is out of the SEC basketball tournament, is not here this weekend, and so he'll be in on it too, probably. So it should be great entertainment. Oklahoma 22-0, just as good as ever. Younger, but obviously Coach Patty Gasso is the Nick Saban of women's college softball, and she has a coaching tree that also includes the Arkansas coach who spent 2 years working with her when DJ, her assistant and Patty's son, was in high school, I understand.
Yep. Yeah. Was with the press conference that you guys had this week with Coach Deifel, did she feel like she was? Could tell that she thought that there might be some pressure with this, or was this one of those times where she just kind of like, okay, this is another opponent, this is another game, this is another series, can't make it bigger than it is?
Well, she made it clear that every weekend in the SEC you're going to face a great team. Ole Miss had won, was on a winning streak. Excuse me. When they went in there, and I think the thing that probably improved everybody's situation in terms of going into this weekend was winning on Sunday after getting roughed up the first 2 days, and how they came back on Sunday. Excuse me. How they came back on Sunday and put up 20 runs. Did a lot of them early on. Busted out in that first inning, I think, with 5.
Yep.
I think that was the thing. she might have been a little bit more worried going into this weekend if they hadn't have showed that. If they had to come in and had to deal with that all week. But obviously, that lineup got going on Sunday. Both Coach Deifel and Coach Gasso talked about the approach that they took and sticking with it on Sunday and it working. So, Arkansas is the underdog this weekend, even though they're home, even though they're, have a great record. But Oklahoma is Oklahoma. It is the gold standard that you want to get to, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun. It's going to be electric. Hopefully, the weather will let them play.
I'm hoping so too. And you've got Oklahoma coming in, which is the reigning 4-time national champion, which is the first time it's ever happened in college athletics, to my knowledge. I want to see how the ladies perform tonight in the first couple of innings. I feel like that's going to dictate the weekend. Last weekend, this team made 2 errors in the first 2 games each, which super uncommon, but it was
and made an error in the first inning of the first game that allowed, really Ole Miss to get going.
Yep. And, with whoops, sorry about that. And with some of those errors that they were making, I feel like if it would have continued, like you said, all 3 games, I think that would have been more worrisome. But they were able to clean that up. They were able to play a lot tighter defense because, listen, those first 2 games of that Ole Miss series, they were making some errors that you and I had not seen all season long.
Yeah. I would think that the easiest bet this weekend would be with all these outlets that do this now, that Oklahoma would sweep this weekend. They haven't lost. They did get challenged last week by South Carolina, who was undefeated going in there, and pushed them at least at 2 of the games. So they're vulnerable. You can take them. You just have to get it done. Probably the easiest bet, or the bet you would get the highest odds on, are Arkansas sweeping Oklahoma. I expect it to be somewhere in there in the middle. I wouldn't be stunned at all if Arkansas took one game, but I would bet that Oklahoma. This first game is going to be extremely important as far as setting the tone. And either you stay on your high horse or you're wobbling, and you look over there with all their championship rings, and I'm sure they're bringing tons of fans here tonight too. Oh, yeah. Somebody may be trying to pay you money to get your seat in the press box.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, if they're going to do that, it's going to be enough for me to retire. Because if I'm going to forfeit all of that, by God, I'm going to at least get my money's worth out of it.
I got you.
Hey, at some point, everybody can be bought in some forms of life, and if that's one of them, by God, I might even get enough for me and you to retire.
There you go. Let's do it.
We'll do that.
We can go watch the games instead of cover.
Hey, I'll go sit out in the outfield. I'm cool with that. I mean, might get enough to get a chairback seat too.
There you go.
Zach Root, he's going to be the Friday night starter. Gabe Gackel's moving to Saturday for baseball. You go to Ole Miss this weekend. Arkansas 16-16 in opening day series is under Dave Van Horn since 2003, if I'm not mistaken. I think I wouldn't expect a sweep, but I would like to see them win the series. I think if they win the series, I think that's a great step in the right direction to start the season. As far as SEC League play
here we go again with the first game being key. Obviously, it's been moved up to 2:00 this afternoon. I'm thrilled about that. That's because they expect the threat of inclement weather down there. Weather. But Hunter Elliott, who was a phenomenal pitcher 2 years ago for Ole Miss as a freshman, is back this year, fully healed from Tommy John surgery in his first start this year. After 700 days of not being able to start, went out through 6 innings of no hit, no scoreless baseball, fanned a massive career high 10. He's only given up 4 runs in 19 in the third innings. He's fanned 25, gave up 11 hits, walked 11. He, as Coach Van Horn says, is going to give Ole Miss the opportunity anytime they go out there to have a chance to win. You're sending Zach Root tonight. I think it's an excellent decision. We all love Gabe Gackle. We all know he has the stuff. We all saw what he did last year. We all know that he's going to be he's going to be drafted. He's going to, have a career in the major leagues, I'm sure, down the line. But it's not working in the first inning right now. He's given up 7 runs in the last 2 first innings. His ERA is at 6.16. Even when he was getting outs, he was getting them. They were hard hit balls that were being barreled up. So I believe this is the right move in sending out Root, who's been very good, who's not had any control issues, who has given up more swinging bunts than anything else. He's a lefty. You still do the deal with lefty, righty, lefty instead of the way they were doing it before. And I think that it gives them the opportunity to take their shot against Ole Miss's best pitcher. Ole Miss is sending out 2 other guys that are good, but Arkansas, when you look at Sunday's starter, Landon Beetlecheese, all 3 of these guys are projected to go in the top 2 rounds of the Major League Draft when it comes their time.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be important to play well early. Whoever gets the first one, be it it's softball here, baseball down there, it's just such a big deal. You want to sweep at home. You want to not get swept on the road. That's pretty much it.
Yep. And I would think that Dave's going to have a little bit of a short leash on Gak on Saturday, because you don't want to have another opening inning, gives up 5, 6, 7 runs. I would think that if things are starting to go downhill, I think that he might have a pretty quick, a pretty short leash on Gak on Saturday.
His name is Colin Fisher. He's sitting there. They got him out after 30 or so pitches, 39 pitches the other night after 3 really good innings. I mean, the man has been dominant coming back from injury this year. Even Coach Van Horn made the point that he could be a starter on the weekend, if he needed to be. You're still adjusting things there, but he has looked really good. And so, any hiccup on Saturday, and I think you'll see Colin Fisher march in. You're going to have Parker Cole. You're going to have Will McIntyre, Aiden Jimenez. I can keep bringing these guys out. You need a good start from Root tonight, win or lose, to make sure you have enough pitchers to go the rest of the weekend. And they do have the pitchers to go, but you don't want them overtaxing themselves. And I think Root and Beetlecheese will give them 5, 6 innings, which is a quality start in college baseball, which is ridiculous. But it's I believe this is the right move, and the man has forgotten more. And I include the pitching coach, Matt Hobbs, in this too. Mm-hmm. Man's forgotten more about baseball than I've known, and I've watched baseball for a long time. And I had been thinking this was going to be the deal. And I was pretty sure when he answered the question Tuesday night, who are you going to pitch all the same 3 this weekend? And he said, yeah. And then Matt Jones of the Whole Hog Sports, former colleague of mine who does a great job, said, what order are you going to pitch him in with? And, got that question in before it was over with. And so when he said, we won't release that till Thursday, I knew there was probably something else.
Yeah. And
it's follow-up questions, man. It's the follow-up questions, not the initial question. It's the follow-up questions that sometimes learn you the most information.
Yeah, and I got a follow-up for you too. Okay, so has there been any news, improvement, timeline-wise, go for Gage Wood so far?
I think it's still him continuing to rest and rehab and let that thing just get ready. There's no reason to rush him back. You want to have him. I mean, you've already got Aiden Jimenez on a pitch count, easing back in after his injury. This was certainly not the type. Gage's injury was certainly not the type that Aiden had. But at the same time, there's just no reason to rush him back. They'll wait until he can give them
Mhm.
Excuse me, he'll wait till they can give him the right amount of innings, and then it'll be back to spring training basically for him. I mean, that's just the way things are. When you have these injuries, I mean, I don't pitch anymore. I'd never tore my rotator cuff, never got it fixed. They said something about sleeping 6 weeks on the sofa, and I was like, no, that ain't gonna happen. And my time of glory and going to the Cardinals was not going to be there. So, I mean, my shoulder aches every once in a while, and that's not throwing 90 to 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and
Yeah,
stuff. So,
that's
you
true.
got to get him right. It's about the finish, not about the start. Even though this 16-1 start is the best or matches the best 17-game start under Dave Van Horn.
Does, yes. And um has anybody asked Dave if there's a possibility where, and I know this might sound early, but with Gabe possibly Gabe Gackle going back to the bullpen where he was so efficient last year, because like you've mentioned, they have a stable of arms, and if it's something where it might improve his confidence and putting him back in the pen, do you see that happening?
Well, that's where I think he's going to start for sure once he comes back, because you can't. I mean, unless they decide to adopt the Tampa Bay philosophy here, you're not going to do the starter thing where you just go out for a couple of innings, like they do
Mhm.
on Tuesday nights. I think Tuesday, Wednesday night they got 2 games next week. But I do think that the back of the bullpen with Kristen Fouch and Carson Wiggins and Parker Cole is pretty solid right now. So
Yeah.
if he fits in there somewhere and is not starting, it'll be in that middle innings, which, let's all be honest, fourth, fifth, and sixth were tough for Arkansas last year.
Yeah.
And you've got to have quality people there. Like those three guys I just mentioned at the back of the bullpen are going to be able to handle the bullpen on all 3 days. But yeah, you could see him eventually work into that. Although he wants to be a starter, they want him to be a starter.
Mhm.
Whoever pitches well, of the four or so that we mentioned, I guess five when you throw in Colin Fisher, they're going to be the ones that go on the weekend. You can't play around.
No.
You got to be. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now each week, and you're playing a quality opponent every time, and you have to go with your three best on the weekend. That's
Yep.
simple. Egos have to go out of the way.
You know what's really nice is that we're talking about good problems with pitching and not talking about hitting, because they've been knocking the
Last year
freaking
it was Hagen
cover off.
Smith and TBA was what it was,
Yeah.
for the most part. But yeah, hitting they have certainly come back since the Arlington and hit the ball really well. You've got to, I mean, Kahua Aloy struggled during the fall, struggled in January and February. When he would hit the ball, yeah, it would go.
Yeah.
But he was, it was just missing his bat simply. And he has been on a tear, obviously. His brother, Brent Irondale, Charles Davalon, new, and new is the right word, first baseman Cam Kozel,
Mhm.
uh, is mashing now. And, it's just, you've got a pretty potent lineup there. And, it's good to see uh, Kendall Diggs hit a home run, hit a triple. Uh,
Yeah.
I think he needs I think his bat's going to be fine. I think he needs confidence. He needs to see the ball, go over the fence or to the fence, not in somebody's glove. And just like Arkansas, Jonas, Adu, the big man, he saw shots go in, and now all of a sudden he's a force. If he
Yeah.
stay out of foul trouble, uh, I mean, you have to have that confidence, and I think we're going to see that keep coming. Justin Thomas hitting a home run the other day, and whether he bats first or ninth, and then you have Nolan Sousa who struggled at the start of the year. Rocco Pepe. I mean, they've come around hitting wise. Now they're going to face a guy that's hard to hit tonight, so this will be a big test for them. But this is going to be the type of starter you're going to see every Friday night from here on out.
I noticed that Arkansas before hit the cover off the ball, hit league play, and that BA just goes right down the tubes.
Pitching's better.
Pitching is better. I will say this. the Nate Thompson detractors have been quite quiet so far through 18 games. And I think that's great, too, because that means that they're doing exactly what they were hoping this would happen with this change, moving him from third base into the dugout. And I personally think it might continue that way.
Yeah, it's as they say in social media these days, receipts are there,
Yeah.
for you to see.
Yeah.
And whether it's John L. Davis, Jonas Adu, Trevon Brazil, uh, uh, the obviously Coach Thompson, some others, part of being a fan is being passionate, but at the same time, you talk, and you talk, and it's going to stay
Yeah.
out there. You can delete it, but somebody's taking a screenshot.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought to do that, but I guess that's kind of a thing among the young ones. So if I put something out there stupid, like I used to do, uh, it's there forever, as they say. And that's why I'm very passionate about the Cardinals and Cowboys and Celtics and all that, Golden Knights. Not so much Manchester United, but yeah. I mean, take a step back. Let your wife Petra read it before you send it. And she'll
The
usually give
Herm
you some wise.
Edwards
Yeah,
approach.
she'll usually give you some wise advice. I don't think you want to go there, And so, I realized a long time ago that everything I say is recorded, everything I type is printed.
Yep.
Can't hide anywhere. So before I say it, you better be sure you're ready to go.
Always think before you hit send.
Mhm.
Love Herm Edwards. I'm telling you, that guy, he was hilarious. Love him. Well, Dudley, let's get you out of here. Again, softball is going to be at 6 o'clock this evening. You got baseball at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
One other
And
thing, I'm about to
yes,
watch the Cardinals spring breakout. Arkansas with 10 players, 10 former Razorbacks, most of any college playing in this thing this weekend. It started last night, and basically is the Major League Baseball's version of the NBA's Rising Stars thing. That is quite a testament to the recruiting they've done here at Arkansas, and it's something to be proud of. I've got a little story I'm about to punch up here in a minute on that. But 10 guys that are participating in this, and they didn't even realize that was the most until the Major League Baseball sent that out, and they were like, "Yep, we're going to use that in recruiting."
well, man, let's get you out of here. Again, we got a busy weekend this weekend, so be sure to check out the Twitter. We'll be burning the Twitter that tweeter box up this weekend. And for Dudley, myself, Jason, I want you guys to take care and go Hogs.